I am doing a new project. It's about women and Islam. I have images that I want to play with, so I'll give you background stories on some of them. I was in the dolmuş meaning the minibus. There was a lady that was sitting in front of me and she was wearing a hijab, başörtü, just headscarf, and the pattern on top of her hijab was this gold chain, right? I think it's like Dior or Chanel or something. I can't remember exactly. If you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So there was these golden chains, and there's this one picture of a black man that has a throat chain on him, and then there's chains coming down, and then he has handcuffs, and he has in his hand a brush that has gold paint on it, and he's painting his metal chains gold, which is such a powerful image. I'm sure you've seen it before. And seeing this lady with the hijab and this printed pattern of chains on it, to me, chains and gold chains and any kind of chain says oppression, you know, it like screams it in my mind. I wonder if she had thought about what she was projecting from her head. And I just wanted to talk to her so bad, but my husband was with me and then I didn't want him to feel awkward. But normally when I'm by myself, I make an extra effort to talk with people, especially that are covered, because I just want to get to know them. I realized that my whole surroundings are basically the same people. I think in America I had like more diverse conversations and friends, and just because everybody's from everywhere. But here it's really homogeneous, and it's just hard to get that diversity in your life. The print and that chain idea. I have this image of the chains in the hijab either elevating her and she climbs up the chains, or it suffocates her and she gets killed by the chains. That's one of my images. A woman receding into her head. There's water. She's like laying down and she's in a lake or something, and she recedes inside of her hijab, and the hijab drowns her. Like it just folds over her face and then it just drowns her. There's this lady on the dolmuş, and it was a really full dolmuş. There's only 2 spots available, and I chose the one that was next to this lady. I was so psyched that there was a vacancy next to her. There's only 4 seats in the back, and there's 2 guys and this lady, and the lady was kind of bigger. And so I sat next to the lady, and so I kind of squished up to her because I didn't want to be too close to the other people. And she was wearing a chador, like the ones that they wear in Iran. And she had a pin here, so it was like this, and then all black. I was like pressed up against her, and I noticed that she was, in her hand, she had like this button, this device, and I thought maybe like she was taking her pulse, or like, I didn't really understand at all what this thing was. And so I was like, what is that? And she was really happy that I asked her. And she's talking kind of louder than normal. She's like announcing it to the whole minibus, and she's like, well, this is a device that you have that counts your prayers, and you have to pray every time that you press it, or you think of God every time you press it. And she said this word, I can't remember what it was. Optes, or something like that. When she said it, sometimes Turkish like flows over me and I can't quite get it, but I get the gist, but I can't quite get the word. And then I tried to remember it, but I didn't know what she was saying, and then when I came home I forgot what the word was, and then so I couldn't even ask. Anyway, so she said something and it meant counting your prayers, and she said it was like an electronic tesbih. And a tesbih is those beads that people count and pray with, and she said it was an electronic tesbih, and then I looked at what number, and I asked her, well, how many times have you pressed that? Like, what's your highest record? And she said like 2,000 something. And I was like really taken aback. It was just so different. to remember something like 2,000 times a day it's just a different world. It means basically that you can't have a meaningful interaction with anything. I mean, when you're listening to a story, when you're watching a movie or listening to a podcast, you're immersed into something. You know, you're there. Or at least that's how I handle content. When you're reading a book, you're inside of that experience. And if you stop and pause to remember God every minute, then you're getting removed from the right here and now. And so that all the emphasis and everything about your life has to be about the hereafter, which I think is really problematic. It kind of reminds me of a Fitbit. I don't know if her machine did that, but I bet soon there's going to be these prayer counters, and then you can see over the course of a month what your progression is. I bet, you know, there's sick ways to control that. Like your husband has to control this to see how many times you've been doing that. Oh, it's like a total mind domination. It's so different and so foreign, and we're like on the same dolmush, and it was just a surreal experience, and so those ideas, I really want to go dive into the Quran and show it to Turkish people, because for the most part, from what I gather, they may have memorized verses that they have not translated, you know, and they don't know the meaning of, because, you know, Quran is in Arabic, and people in Turkey speak Turkish, they don't speak Arabic. So there's like rote memorization, I think, that goes on with no understanding of the meaning. That's one case. And then the other case is, yeah, you walk around and you say that you're Muslim, but you've never read the Quran. So yeah, I just want to point out some details and some facts about what is actually said in that Quran. There's some ugly facts in Islam, and it's time to face it so that you can change it. And that reform needs to start happening in Turkey. I think it's a cool place for that dialogue to really take shape. The thing that worries me the most about Turkey is I don't know what the end game is here with all these religious people. Is it supposed to be implementing a Sharia law in Turkey? Is that what they think is going to be a good thing for them? If that's the case, then wake up, women. That is not a good thing for anybody. Anyway, this is something that I've been trying to process, and it's a part of my adaptation here, and I think that it's an important thing to engage in, and I'm not going to give up on that. That's what's on my mind, that's what's on my plate. I am making a movie about Islam and women. That's it. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in and subscribing and liking. Like. Take care. Peace and happiness.